Hey guys, it's Rush. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. This video today, I'm going to talk about the journey that I've been on with 6-button fight pads. So this is the Hori Octa Frankenstein Pro controller, but you may notice it looks very different. It almost looks normal. So to explain what happened, I continued to mod this controller. I buffed out the sides so the angles were more at a slant, similar to the old Hori controller. I continued to modify the Sega Saturn D-pad by sanding it down even more. I almost made it practically flat, and that's where the issues began. So let me show you what that Saturn D-pad looked like at the end of my modding, and let me explain why this was an issue. So that's the original Saturn D-pad that I stuck onto the Hori Octa Pro. And you can see that the up, down, left, right are practically flat. So a conclusion that I came to with the Sega Saturn D-pad, this one here, this is a stock Sega Saturn D-pad, is the edges that lip outwards. When doing motion inputs, it made doing like super inputs, so double quarter circles forward and backwards, it made me feel like they were quite sluggish. And what I found was sanding this down so this was a little bit more flat made my inputs much quicker, and it did make a difference. But I took that concept a little too far, sanded it down so much so that my inputs were super inconsistent. I couldn't really feel where the up, down, left, right inputs were. I was not getting complete motion inputs, meaning that a lot of my inputs were not coming out. It was overkill. I went way too far with it. And what I had to do was I had to actually pop this off. This was glued to the controller. I had to pull it off, try not to damage the controller. And essentially now this is I can't use this. It's worthless. It needs to go in the bin now. I've kept it as, you know, a reminder of what not to do with modding D-pads. But it was a good lesson learned. You know, I took it way too far. And I have another one. I have this one here I can use. So I can just sand this down so it's a little bit more flat. I can get the angle on this, but you can see it is curved ever so slightly, but I don't like these raised up, down, left, right sections. And through trial and error, I found that, but took it too far. But you'll notice here, so this is a stock D-pad for the Hori Octa Pro. It's one of the 3 stock D-pads, but this is not standard as well. This has been sanded down. So it still has the up, down, left, right, but it's a little bit more flat. And if I compare that to another one, which hasn't been sanded down, so here's another one. This one you can see has more of a matte finish, which I actually do prefer. I prefer the matte finish. It's just the sanding paper that I've got gives it a bit more of a glossy finish, like on that one. You can see it's very difficult to pick it up on the camera, but it does have a more curved edge. It has those raised up, down, left, right inputs. It's not actually too bad. It's actually okay. But compared to this one that I've sanded down, I do prefer this. I do prefer where I can feel the up, down, left, right, but where there's less of a lip on the edge. And since going back to this, it may sound weird, but it's not been as bad as I thought. I still don't like this D-pad. I still prefer the Sega Saturn one in comparison to this one. This one is my preferred D-pad still, where it's a bit more flat. But this hasn't been too bad. And the conclusion I came to was that the biggest mod that I made to this controller, the biggest transformation it's had, is the sticky pads. So the sticky pads that I took from the Xbox Series S/Series X controller, removing the sticky pads from the D-pad and then attaching them to the PCB on here. It's one of the best mods you can make for this controller. And I feel for people that like this pad and don't have issues with it out of the box, I feel if you made that one modification to it, it'd make a massive difference. The other thing is going back to the stock Hori D-pads, the Hori Pro D-pads. I don't know if I can catch the light on this, but I've actually sanded this down again. So this is the second pad that I've got. I had to sand this area down. So I've got rid of the lip that sits around the analog stick. I've of course removed the analog stick, but I sanded down the area around the D-pad as well because it's raised. I did feel that my thumb was still pressing into this area on the stock D-pad, but now I have clearance, so I'm not touching anything at all when I'm going up, down, left, right on the D-pad. But an issue with that is now I've done the sanding around the D-pad. If I press too hard, the D-pad does come loose, and this happened last stream. it actually does work its way loose. So you have to resecure it. I don't know if I want to glue this D-pad down on this controller. I'm not sure how I feel about doing that, but that would be the option I'd have to take if I want to make this more secure, if this is the D-pad that I want to go for. Other mods that I made, I feel these buttons are way too close. Bean switches, I mentioned, very sensitive. It's very easy to double press them. So I sanded these down. I gave them a bit of an angle. You can't really see it here, but they are a bit more rounded on the edge here to give it more clearance. A very minor change that I made there, a very minor mod, but I can feel the difference. I feel it makes an ever so slight difference. And for me, I don't know why this happens, but for me, because of the way I grip on the left-hand side and I securely hold the pad, I was often accidentally pressing the L2 button or the LT button. So I've sanded that down massively. I've got rid of a lot of the surface area. I don't ever press it by mistake now. So that's a me thing, but that's a preference thing. But I do feel these buttons stock are huge. I sanded this one down as well, but I don't hold the right-hand side in the same way. I sort of rest on the top here and I press them when I need them. So that is another me mod that has made a massive difference. Comparing it to the stock Hori Octa Pro buttons, look how big they are. They are so big. It's a massive. So I've taken a large amount of that off if you compare the two. But for me, that's a really good mod. It makes a real difference for me. It gives me a secure grip of the controller and I don't accidentally press the L2 button. So this is what I'm using as of now. It's okay. It's not perfect, but it does the job. I still feel the slanted sides make a difference. So now, if you look at my thumb position, it's at a very steep angle on the D-pad. But the small size of this D-pad enables you to get quick inputs, which I feel the shape of it and the fact that it's small and I can maneuver very quickly means that I don't get many misinputs. If you look at the angle on the Victrix BFG, has more of a slant, so my thumb isn't sitting so steep now. This feels more natural to me, so I do prefer that. So I have the option to consider buffing the sides out again with the tape, just so my thumb sits at more of an angle rather than being so steep. It's a very minor thing where it does make a difference, but I do wonder how that would feel with this smaller D-pad. I feel my inputs would be a bit more clean, a bit more better if I had that slant. But I removed them for the time being just to go back to factory, try this stock D-pad, but with those modified PCB, the actual inputs on the PCB with the metal dome pads. So yeah, I'm using this controller. It's okay for now, but I do want to transition to the Victrix BFG reloaded pad. This pad has a great layout, so you can map the buttons in the same fashion. You can map them on the Hori Octa Pro. The D-pad, in my opinion, feels better, has switches as well. And the shape of it, the shape and feel of it does feel better to me. So I do want to transition to this for a period of time, try it out for a number of weeks and then give you my honest feedback on this. And then what I'll do is once I've done that, I'll feedback and let you know if this is better than the Hori Octa Pro, which one is the better of the two. I'll give you my honest opinions on that. So that's where I am with the 6-button fight pad journey. These are my two options. I'm not using the Turtle Beach. I'm not using the Hori Fighting Commander, the old one, the Switch version. So we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know. But any questions, any queries, as always, give me a shout. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.